Hi, it's Timo. Welcome to Norwich City Central.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the very first Norwich City Central podcast and the debut of the Game Changer series. In this series, I talk to people connected to Norwich City Football Club and the wider world of football and share their interesting stories and perspectives. In this episode, Norwich City under-23 footballer Caleb Richards is on. We talk about his new book, which is fantastic. I think you guys are going to find it very interesting and take a lot of value from the conversation that is had. Talk about him playing for the Norwich City Academy, being inspired by the likes of Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis, being a fullback himself, and motivated that Norwich City rewards academy talent, and his loan at Tampa Bay Rowdies. If you do enjoy the video and you are new to Norwich City Central, please subscribe, like and share, and if you are listening to Spotify and iTunes, please do give your feedback. I hope you enjoy. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Norwich City Central podcast. Hope you're doing well. I'm joined by Caleb. How you doing? Norwich City under-23 academy player.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really, really good, thank you. It's unprecedented times with the lockdown. How you've been kind of coping?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle, but since I've got myself into a good routine now, I'm enjoying it. But I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, that's it. Routine's kind of the key with this kind of lockdown. If you can manage to get a routine through it, I think it definitely helps. Kind of just knowing what you're doing day to day.
Yeah, the club helps with that. The club sets us different running tasks, different football strength sessions to do, and then you just make your own time with the spare time you have.
Yeah, because you're currently with Yeovil at the moment in the National League, and there's quite a bit of uncertainty about how the leagues are going to finish, right?
Yeah, no one's really quite sure on how the season's going to finish, how they're going to deal with promotion, relegation, whether they'll have to play playoff games. So at the minute, I'm not focused on that. I'm just focused on keeping myself fit.
Yeah, it's definitely the right thing to do. Yeah, in this video, I'm going to be talking a bit about your career and your book. I really think the listeners are going to get a lot from your book. I was really interested when I heard about it. You started a meat-free diet. Kind of what inspired you to take that up, and what inspired you to kind of write the book? And in your own words, what is the book about, essentially, which you've recently launched?
So the book is about a transition to a meat-free diet. So reducing meat, increasing your vegetables, and trying to get rid of meat completely. But the thing that inspired me was I have 5 sisters, and a few of those are vegetarian. My girlfriend, she doesn't eat meat either. And I used to just look at them and think, how can you not eat chicken? But then a couple of the boys at Norwich watched Game Changers over Christmas. And then when we came back in after Christmas, they was like, no, let's try it. So I was like, all right, okay, I'll try it. But like, I love chicken, so I don't think I'll get anything from it. But I did it for 2 weeks and then saw results. I was sprinting faster. And then I kept at it to see if it was just coincidence. And I kept noticing more and more, like lifting more in the gym and stuff. So then ever since then, I've stuck to it.
Yeah, so you were quite skeptical at first about how necessarily it could be useful and could improve your game. But how did it improve your game on the football field? You mentioned there with your sprinting. Did it help your endurance and things like that? Kind of what did it help in terms of on the football pitch?
So I didn't fully notice this until recently. Since lockdown, I've just been running a lot more. I've noticed my endurance does feel a lot better. But in terms of football, I remember we played a game against Leicester. And in that game, this was the first time I'd ever tried like a meat-free meal for pre-match and the day before a game. Because right in the first week, I still had meat the day before a game just to be safe. But this game, I had it and I felt like really light. I just felt fresh. Like, I don't know if it was in my head, but I definitely felt lighter.
And a lot of famous athletes have kind of been implementing this into their lifestyle and into their training as well. Do you feel like it definitely gives these athletes in competitive scenarios these marginal gains to improve their performance and kind of take them to the next level?
I think so. I think if you look at athletes such as like Messi and like in women's football, Alex Morgan, both those eat no meat in the season. Messi sometimes has it in the off season, but I think it definitely gives you an edge considering he's, like, in my opinion, the best player in the world.
Yeah.
But some people argue, what about the other athletes who eat meat and like stuff like that? Well, my argument is not that many people choose not to eat meat, but there's so many athletes who have a meat-free diet that are at the top of the game. So I think that when more people do start to eat meat, you'll see a lot more like vegan and vegetarian athletes
Yeah.
at the top.
Yeah, definitely. And in your book, you talk about kind of where to start and misconceptions around meat and things such as that. So it can definitely be useful for someone who necessarily doesn't know a lot about it, and it's kind of a beginner's guide essentially to knowing about meat and stuff. Do you feel like in society there might be a little bit of misinformation about dieting and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. That's the main reason I wrote the book, because I had all the same misconceptions, had all the same like things I was like not really too sure about. And then when I did start, I was getting asked all these questions by friends, family, like, "Oh, you're not hungry? Are you like, do you not feel tired?" And I was like, "No, like this is just not the truth." So then all the questions that they asked me, I wrote down and researched and tried to find answers to, and then looked at myself and gave answers back, and then put that all in the book on like how to start.
How long did the book take to make then? And also you mentioned regarding some of the other Norwich City players who also went on the diet. How did they find it?
Well, I haven't asked them personally how they find it, but they've been doing it a lot longer than me, so I'm sure they could teach me a thing or two.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so the book's been very successful. How have you have you found the reception to it so far? Because it's been really successful, as you say. We had a chat just before we started recording, and it's been ordered from 10 different countries. How have you kind of found the reception to it?
It surprised me, to be honest. I didn't think that many people wanted to read about vegetables, but yeah, no, it's been really good. I just started it. I forgot to answer like how long it took. I started it as a just writing it down, but since and probably in about February, end of February when I was in Yeovil, and then since lockdown, I really cracked down with it and was doing it like every day and getting it checked in grammar and whatever. And then since it came out, so probably like 2 months,
Yeah.
2 and a bit months. And then what do you say after that?
Yeah, how have you found the success around
Oh
the
yeah,
book?
yeah. No, people have really responded to it. Like I've had a lot of big steak eaters like stop eating meat completely just straight away, and I'm like, whoa. And like, I've had other people who I knew that I never thought would be like the type of person to go on a meat-free diet messaging me, like sending pictures of the recipes they've made from the book and like saying like different benefits that they've got from it.
Oh, that must be really exciting. Yeah, you mentioned benefits because obviously some of the listeners won't be in football, they won't be athletes, but of course, dieting is still very important. What did you find kind of were the mental and the physical things you gained from the meat-free diet, away from football and kind of in your normal routine and your, day-to-day life?
Well, I personally think that I wouldn't have written the book if I didn't feel like more productive or like energetic or willing to do stuff. I think that like having a little bit of an extra boost did make me end up writing a book, because writing is not really one of my favorite things.
No.
And also with a little bit of research, I found that on average, vegans live 9 years longer than someone who eats meat all their life.
Oh, wow.
So I suppose if you're older and getting on like in life, or you're not really a footballer, you might feel 9 years younger.
Yeah, definitely. And where can people get the book then?
So there's a link in my Twitter bio. There's a link which is my pinned tweet on Twitter. And then there is also a link in my Instagram bio. The Instagram is caleb.richards and the Twitter handle is caleb_richards_.
Yeah, well, congratulations on it. 21 years of old, you should be very proud of launching the book and for it to be a real success.
No, yeah, I'm proud. It was a bit of a shock. It's not something that I would usually do. It's just something that I thought, right, let me get in my comfort zone. It's in lockdown, so I don't have to go training and get sick for it. So
Yeah, exactly.
I can just do it from the comfort of my own home.
No, yeah, well done. Moving on to your career now, what was it like kind of growing up in Salford? And did you always want to be a footballer? I was reading or listening to an interview from Brandon Williams earlier on, who obviously is a Manchester United left back, and he was saying how he didn't want to grow up to be a footballer. In kind of Salford, was it always your aim to be a footballer, or did it kind of come later on in your career?
No, I definitely think that I've always wanted to be a footballer. I think I started properly at like 7 years old. But all my friends, like all my closest friends, played football, played for the local team. So I just wanted to play with them. So that's since then I've always played football and I've always wanted to be a footballer.
And of course, growing up near Manchester as well, I guess there's quite a big kind of football scene around there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like Manchester United was obviously the biggest club when I was younger, and now you've got Man City, who's also like a huge club, and there's definitely a lot of football fans in Manchester. And you've even got all like the littler teams, FC United, who I went on loan to, and then you've got like all the teams that are not even far, Bolton's, and like all the teams like that. So there's a lot of football focus in Manchester, and I think definitely a lot of kids there, including myself, want to be footballers and wanted to be footballers.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned your loan there to FC United, sorry?
FC United of Manchester, yeah.
FC United of Manchester, yeah. Kind of, what was your career like before you joined Norwich in the summer of 2018? I know you had a lot of success at Blackpool at kind of youth level.
So just before I joined Norwich, I was at Blackpool, but they don't have a 23s or like reserve system. Like they kind of just like mix the first team with some under 18s when they have like reserve games. But so if you're 18, 19 and you're too old for under 18s, but like you're not ready for the first team, you'll go on loan. So I did a couple of loans there. I did, I think, 3 loans from Blackpool. So I was always going on loans to those type of teams. And then I think that's where you get, because when you're young playing in those leagues, you get like a little bit of recognition. So I think that's where Norwich would have had their eyes on me.
Yeah, and then when Norwich did sign you in I think it was the summer of 2018, what kind of drew you to Norwich?
Norwich was a really big club. They are a big club. There was in the Championship at the time, and I just thought, yeah, I think I'm ready. Like I'd never been like that far away from home playing football, but it was just something I couldn't really turn down. Just a really big club.
Yeah, and I look at Norwich as well, and we've had some really, really good players in the academy. I remember we won the FA Youth Cup in 2013. I think we had the Murphy twins there. We had a lot of really exciting young Norwich City footballers at the academy, but for whatever reason, not many of them really got promoted to the first team. The Murphys did, but not many other Norwich City footballers ended up kind of making the first team. Which was a real shame because, as I said, we won the FA Youth Cup and we had some really exciting young talents. But then since Stuart Webber came in and Daniel Farker came in, a lot of the players in the Norwich City Academy have been promoted up. You look at recent years, we've had Max Aarons, Jamal Lewis, who are both fullbacks who similar position to yourself, Ben Godfrey, Todd Cantwell, even Adam Idah now. It must be really nice to kind of play in the academy and know that you potentially could have an option in the first team to make it there, which at a lot of clubs you don't have. I know Alan Shearer was talking about how Newcastle, very few academy players end up making it to the first team. So to have that option to be able to get to the first team, and that must be really, really good and kind of motivates you to kind of lift your game as players.
Yeah, it's definitely really good, especially when you're training with these players and then you see them move up like Adam Idah, like you think, oh, maybe I'm not that far. Like I can, like if I just push a little bit harder, maybe it'll be me next. And like you said, Norwich is a very good club for that, for bringing players from the academy up to the first team. Like if you do well, you will get a chance. And like you said as well, other clubs don't really have that. When I was saying with Blackpool, they have the under 18s and they have the first team. And like a lot of other clubs are very separated, where the academy don't really see the first team much. They don't really train with them. But Norwich is definitely a really good club for that.
So did you have opportunities to kind of, well, I know you're still at Norwich, but did you have opportunities to kind of train with the first team and things like that? And was there kind of a close connection between the academy and the first team?
Well, I've been on loan a lot of my time at Norwich since I started. I was there for 2 months. Then I went on loan, then came back for like a couple of weeks, then back on loan for a year. And then when I came back this time, I was really just training with the 23s to kind of, because I missed the summer, just get myself back into it.
Yeah.
So personally, no, I've not been really training with the first team, but there's a lot of players who do go over, come back, stay there, and even ones that we don't really hear about.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned some of the players at the academy you were playing with at under 23 level. Did you end up playing with players like Max Aarons, Adam Idah when you were at Norwich? When you had that regular spell at Norwich?
Yeah, I played with Adam a lot. Max I've not played with. He made the jump to the first team. Like when he started in the first team, that's when I just joined Norwich.
Yeah.
So I didn't really play with him, but I trained with him once or twice.
Yeah, and as I said, when you see players like Max who are in the academy and end up making the step to the first team, it must be kind of really motivating and inspiring, and you can learn, I guess, a lot off them.
No, definitely. When you see them not just go over, they go over there, do well. Max got Young Player of the Year in the Championship, and like you think to yourself, like if he's there, maybe I could be not too far off that. And then you see like Jamal and Todd and Ben and Max as well, all doing really good in the Premier League. Like it really gives you like a boost of confidence, because you think that maybe even if you're not quite there, maybe you could go on loan in the Championship or League One or play in the league at a good level.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, you played with Adam. Adam's had a few Premier League appearances. I know he scored a penalty in Norwich's fantastic win over Tottenham. When you look at Adam and when you played with Adam, did you think kind of he's got the potential to make it very high up the game? Because I remember as well he scored a hat-trick in the FA Cup third round tie against Preston, and obviously you'll know Adam far better than myself, but when I watch him play, he's got something very natural about him as like almost a born goal scorer. He's quick, he's got he's very tall, he's got some really good attributes. So what's your kind of been your opinion of playing with Adam?
Adam is young and he's strong and he's fast and he's tall. Like he's got all the attributes you need. He's a good finisher, and like in training, I'd train with him a lot. And if we do small sided games, I'd be defending him. And like it's always a
was
good
that a
battle.
nightmare or?
No, I had him in the pocket. But
yeah.
No, he's good. He scored a lot of goals in training when I was training with him, and even in games, you know he's going to score if he gets a chance. He's going to score. But so you knew that if he did get his opportunity, he would take it. And then when he had the FA Youth Cup game, I thought, yeah, Adam's going to score. That FA Cup game, I thought, yeah, Adam's going to score it. He scored a hat-trick, so he exceeded my expectations. But you could always tell, like, he's a player. Like, you'd forget sometimes how young he was, because sometimes it would be a big Youth Cup game and Adam would go back over to play with them, and you'd think, how are you even that young still to be able to play with him?
Yeah, definitely. As you said, you've mentioned you've had quite a lot of loans, but how did you find your time at Norwich City when you had like regular game time there? And what did you kind of learn personally?
No, I really enjoyed it, and especially under 23s football gets a little bit of stick saying, "Oh, like it's just kids football." So when I did come from Blackpool and went to Norwich, I didn't expect the like intensity and the like how good it actually is.
Yeah.
So we played our first game against Aston Villa, and it took me probably like 25 minutes to get just up to the speed of the game, because it is really like quick and intense, and there's a lot of technical players. So I definitely have become a better technical player by playing under 23s games, and I think that loans are there to give you that other side of the game, like the nitty gritty and the playing for like stuff's on the line, people's jobs are on the line, which you don't get in the 23s. So I do think it's good to have a balance of both.
Yeah, definitely. And then you make the move to Tampa Bay in, I think it was February 2019. How did that move come about? Because it seems quite a bizarre move to obviously having a lot of loans in England, which a lot of footballers do, and then suddenly you're in America. How does that opportunity come about?
So Norwich and Tampa Bay have a affiliation, so like they do the Tampa things at halftime. But so just after I came back from the loan from FC United, they was like, oh, they pulled me into the office and went, Caleb, we've got another loan for you. I was like, all right, cool. There was like some Tampa, Florida, and I was thinking like, what? Like, I didn't even know any teams like in Florida. But so that's how that came about. They just have like an affiliation. The first team went there for a pre-tour, obviously built good relationships with the club, and then I was like the first person to go out there to like see how it would go.
Was that quite a daunting experience? Because as a young player, you've had a lot of moves in England, and then suddenly you said, "Oh, you're going to be going to America." Did that feel quite daunting? That kind of transition from England, and then suddenly you're in Florida.
Yeah, no, it definitely was like a bit like scary at first, but I'm just someone who's just open to any opportunities. So I was excited to go, and it definitely is something I don't regret.
Would you recommend other players to get who perhaps could have the opportunity to play overseas? Would you definitely recommend them kind of taking that opportunity?
Yeah, definitely, because you're going to play against players that you've never played against. You will learn things that you've like not done before, and it's men's football. So if you're playing in the 23s, it just gives that sense of stuff's on the line now. If you play bad, you're going to get dropped from the team, and because the manager needs to win games.
Yeah, definitely. And how did you get on at Tampa personally? Did you, because I've seen your stats, you played a lot of football over there for Tampa Bay. So it must have been really good to have a lot of football under your belt, and it's quite a high division as well. I think it's the second tier in the American system. So how did you find it personally for yourself?
So when I first went over there, I kind of like made myself a little assessment in pre-season. I thought some good players here. I'm going to aim to get 20 games out the season. But as pre-season went on, like I progressed and I managed to get all 36 and the 2 cup games. So I was more than happy I got all the games there. Got a lot of football and a lot of experience. But I think overall, I did well because I was playing in a different position, different conditions. It's hot out there. And I think overall it went well.
How hot was it out there? They kind of, I'd hate it because you have that transition of playing kind of all in the winter and then suddenly 30 degrees heat and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain, but it is a lot at times. So it probably gets, their winter out there was probably January, February, and I went out there about that time. And that's probably, we was training like 20 degrees. And then by the time it gets to summer, by the time it gets to March, you're training in 25 to 30 degrees. But the humidity is what kills you. Like, you can lose like 3 kilograms of weight of just water after one game. So the humidity is what kills you. It's so hot. And then peak summer, you could be playing 30 to 35 degrees.
And how did Tampa Bay get on in that season, in the season you played with them?
We did really well, actually. The season before, they didn't manage to get into the playoffs. But then this season, we was first for a lot of the season. Like, we was top of the league. It was us between a couple of teams. And then towards the end, we kind of lost our way a little bit. We still managed to, I think we finished 4th or 5th. I think we finished 5th in the league and then went to the playoffs, and then we lost the first game in the playoffs.
And what was the kind of football culture like over at Tampa Bay? I've seen a few videos. The crowd are certainly very enthusiastic about the football over there.
No, yeah, it's really good. It's a lot of the fans are different, but really good in like a different way. So it's more like a family event. So you're like, Tampa have this area where kids can like roll down the hill. Then you've got like the pyro area where people are setting off flares and singing. Like
I love that. I love that.
It's so good. And then you've got like another area where it's just like fans who are standing, and then there's another stand where it's just like chilled out.
Now, how many fans would kind of go to these games? Because from playing under 23 level and then suddenly having thousands watching you, how did you kind of find that transition?
I was when I was at FC United, they had quite a lot of fans there, like 2,000, 3,000, but it feels like a lot because they're loud. So going to Tampa when they have I think the average was like between 3,000 to 7,000 a game. So it was kind of similar. So I was kind of felt used to it.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really notice it when you're playing. Like, once you're like focused, like you only notice it when you do something good and you hear them all go, oh, or like you do something bad and then you hear a bit of stick. But they don't really have away fans there because everything's so far.
Yeah.
So like,
because they regionalize the leagues, don't they? There.
Yeah. So when you are away, all the fans are the opposition fans. So like, they're all against you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds really good. Just a few questions now. One of them is about Tampa. What was your favourite moment there?
Favourite moment in Tampa? Probably was my first game, actually. My first game was probably my favourite experience there because we played a team called Memphis and that was their first time in the league. So they had loads of fans, they had flares, like fireworks and stuff, and like it was just a crazy experience, and it was my debut game too.
Did you kind of expect that, all the kind of the atmosphere and the things like that?
No, to be honest, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really expect like anything. So when I did play the game, like it was a shock to me.
No, definitely. It sounds like a really good experience. DJM asks, who do you see as a role model in the game?
So I have plenty of role models. Like I look at people like Jamal Lewis, who is like a specific role model. He's done what I've done and got there. And then I'll look at other left backs, different parts of the game. So someone like Marcus Alonso might be like someone who scores a lot of goals at the back post, or like Wan-Bissaka, who's a great 1v1 defender, and then Trent, who can get loads of assists. So I have a lot of different role models for different things, but probably say at the minute as a fullback, Trent is someone I look up to a lot.
He's unbelievable. The amount of assists he's been getting is unbelievable. Yeah. I've had him in my fantasy team from day one. I've been quite pleased with the results.
Yeah,
and Jamal as well, fantastic athlete. As you said, you must look up to him and the journey he's come from the academy to the first team and kind of be motivated to kind of, I guess, try and replicate that journey.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with Jamal and Max, like you see the journey they've took and you see what they've had to do to get there. So it definitely is like an inspiration to players like me and other fullbacks.
Another question comes in saying, do you prefer the under-23 football or the kind of first team football?
I think I probably prefer first team football. Under 23s football is good, but I think that now I need more first team football, and it's more pressure on the line and it's just more like exciting.
Definitely, yeah. And Lewis Hawkins asks, what's one thing you'd like to achieve in your career?
In my career, I'd like to achieve playing in the Premier League, definitely.
Yeah. Well, what is it about the Premier League that excites you? I guess it's the biggest league in the world and things like that.
I think it comes from like you've always watched it. Like that's the main league you watch. So to be on something that you used to watch as a kid is definitely something that you want to do. Like just like the World Cup, you get so excited for the World Cup. If I could play in the World Cup, then I'd be buzzing.
No, if you keep working hard, of course, anything's possible. The oval time has obviously been cut short. Kind of what's next now for your career, do you feel?
So I'm not too sure what's next because like we're not really playing at the moment, not training. But I think I'm going to come back in really good shape and hopefully shock a couple of people at Norwich, and then maybe get another loan. See if I can move myself into the league, or who knows, could get a little first team appearance.
Definitely, and good luck with that all. And finally, one question I want to ask: what does football and sport mean to you?
Well, sports, everything really. Sports gave me everything. Like I have all these experiences going on abroad to places like Florida, and then giving me great experiences on the pitch, winning like cups and stuff. So it's a big thing for me and my family. We're all big sports fans.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Caleb. I really enjoyed that chat.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, thank you. And finally, reminder in the book, where can people purchase that if they wish to buy it?
So Instagram, Caleb.Richards, it's in the bio there. And then Twitter, CalebRichards_. It's in the bio and it's also my pinned tweet.
Cheers. Thank you for that, and good luck with your career, mate.
Thank you. Good talking to you.